Hey guys, this is Babbling Brooke, and there's been a lot of just bad shit, just negativity, horrible shit going on all over the world. So I thought that we could just kind of push that aside for a minute and we could all use a good laugh. So I saw this post on Twitter by, What the Fuck Facts, and it talked about a man from Virginia who researched if there was any unclaimed land on the planet that he could go stick a flag in, claim as his own, just so he could make his 7-year-old daughter a real life princess for her birthday. Now, my first thought was, holy shit, am I stuck in an episode of Family Guy? I swear to God, if Peter Griffin pops up to fart in my face, I'm fucking out of here. My second thought was, holy shit, that kid's never gonna grow up to be an entitled brat who feels that the world owes her everything just because she exists. No, that'll never happen. So of course I had to find out more about this story. So I found an article giving me a lot more detail about it. And trust me, the details get funnier and funnier. Virginia man's claim on African land is unlikely to pass test. Jeremiah Herman and his 7-year-old daughter, Emily, show the flag in Abingdon, Virginia, that their family designed as they try to claim a piece of land in the eastern African region of Biltowel, or whatever it's called. Okay? When Jeremiah Heaton trekked across the desert and planted a flag in an 800-square-mile patch of land between Egypt and Sudan in June, he staked a claim to the area, calling it his Kingdom of North Sudan. He said he wanted the barren, craggy swatch so his 7-year-old daughter Emily could be a princess, and he vowed to start an agricultural center there. Although Heaton of Abingdon, Virginia, intends to reach out to the Egyptian and Sudanese governments for their official recognition of his kingdom, it turns out that his chances of success in taking over the area known as Biltowel aren't so good. Really? No shit. Experts say that simply planting a flag in the sand isn't how countries are born these days, even if land sits apparently unclaimed. Heaton is not a state, nor is he acting on behalf of any nation, and he is not occupying the land, instead living more than 6,600 miles away in southwestern Virginia. He would also need Sudan and Egypt to recognize his kingdom. He lives 6,600 miles away and has absolutely no plans to occupy the land. This guy can't be for real, right? Gamal Malik Ahmed Guresh, counselor at the Sudanese embassy in the district, said that although no country currently occupies the Biltowel trapezoid, there is no land between Egypt and Sudan that doesn't have any owner. Guresh added that Sudan and Egypt are negotiating over official ownership of the area, which appears on maps as a desolate spot about halfway between where the Nile crosses into Sudan and Egypt's border along the Red Sea. Guresh said that there is no third party allowed in the discussions. Officials at the Egyptian embassy in Washington did not respond to requests for comment. What do you expect them to comment on? Something so completely ridiculous that it is a complete waste of their time and energy to even consider the proposition? I'm sure they have much more important things to worry about. Heaton is not the first person to try to claim Biltowel, and his bid probably will be unsuccessful, according to international officials and experts. Under international law, only states can assert sovereignty over territories, said Anthony Aaron, co-founder of the Institute for International Law and Politics at Georgetown University. Aaron said that for a state to claim no man's land, or terra nullius, it must also demonstrate that it has occupied the space, not that it has just physically stepped foot there. Oh my god, that is pretty basic. I mean, am I the only one who thinks that's kind of common knowledge? And even if I'm wrong and it's not common knowledge, wouldn't you think that some guy would research this before traveling 6,600 miles to claim it? Oh my god. Oh, stupid people. God love them. Under the most basic definition, Aaron said, members of the occupying nation must have lived on the land for several years. Asking the United Nations for official recognition wouldn't necessarily help, according to Stefan Dujarric, a spokesman for the UN Secretary General. Dujarric said it is not the role of the United Nations to define borders, and that the membership in UN is separate from recognition as a country. The recognition of a country is something that's done bilaterally among neighboring countries, Dujarric said. Aaron said that another alternative for Heaton and others wishing to start a nation on Bertowel soil would be the principle of self-determination. In such a case, a people, a group with a common ethnicity, language, or governing structure as examples, can occupy the land for years unchallenged and claim it as their own. An example of this would be secession from an established country, Aaron said. Heaton argues that the idea of limiting land claims to existing states is a colonialist approach to international law and insists his claim to Bertowel is legitimate. I'm sorry, didn't the colonists who staked their claim in the New World do so by coming and claiming the land like you just did? Wouldn't that be the colonialist approach to doing things? I'm starting to think that common sense may be an issue with this particular individual. This is no man's land, and I have claimed it, Heaton said. He said that to occupy the land, he would first need to enact his long-term goal for the kingdom, turning the patch of desert into an agricultural production center that will tackle food security issues in the region. Scientists from Germany, Australia, and India have contacted Heaton, hoping to assist with the farm project, he said. Although one of the main reasons Heaton claimed the area is that he hoped to fulfill his daughter's wish to become a princess, his family also has wanted to transform the land into a needed agricultural resource. Oh, but of course that's secondary to your daughter being a princess. So how serious can you really be? Once he finalizes his vision for the desert, he intends to meet with Sudanese and Egyptian officials, thinking they will agree his plans will benefit the region. There's no way they can't see it in a positive light, Heaton said. Even so, Heaton recognized that it would be best to formalize his plans before approaching government officials. I think it's too early for them to weigh in negatively, Heaton said. Heaton is not alone in dreaming about Bertowel. Some others have taken to the internet before to claim the land, including Kareem Hamdi, 34. Hamdi, a second-year student at St. James Medical School in the Caribbean, said he initially claimed Bertowel in 2010, distributing news releases of his claim to various websites. Hamdi's United Arab Republic project was meant to be a mental exercise in creating a micronation for displaced people, Hamdi had said. Since then, 7 others have joined him in developing the project, with current conversations revolving around establishing a digital economy. I'm trying to build a legitimate project to be recognized by the international community, said Hamdi, who is Egyptian. Although the odds might be against them and the international community is unlikely to endorse their plans, Heaton and Hamdi separately say they are committed. Starting a nation from scratch doesn't happen overnight, Heaton said. Well, at least the other guy actually is Egyptian and didn't do it just to make his 7-year-old daughter a real-life princess. So this is an old article from September of 2014. Wonder how his plans are coming along 3 years later. So it's highly unlikely that this little girl will actually be recognized as a real-life princess of Bertowel. She's much more likely to grow up and become a waitress or a bartender, and then she can be princess of a beer towel. I'm so sorry. I warned you guys it would be really, really bad. Anyways, this is Battling Brooke. I love y'all. I'll see you soon.